Hey everybody, Steve Basic Architect here, live from the Build Show, and we're out here in Amarillo, Texas, and I'm standing in our farmhouse project we got there. This is kind of the great room. We're looking down here at the kitchen here, but today's video isn't necessarily about the kitchen or the space planning. It's about what's that little white cube. Some of you might have already figured it out. We're up here in northwest Texas, and they get some pretty bad weather. And they get bad enough weather that occasionally you might need a place to go and hide. So actually, let me back up here a little bit. So what you're looking at here is a wood-framed wall, an ICF wall that is tied to some anchors in the concrete slab there. And there, on the other side, there's another wood-framed wall. So yeah, you guessed it. It's a little safe room, place where I can run and hide during a tornado warning. So you can come down here and come in here, and you can see it has a full concrete ceiling. It's got this really deep window, but you get a sense of what's happening out there. So you see the ICF block, that's just a block to keep the concrete from flowing out of the block. And then we have the exterior framed wall there. But yeah, so we're inside this ICF block room. Now, we didn't waste it because this room actually has a use. If we come down here, I'm just gonna go into the bedroom here and turn around, you get another shot here, you can see. It's the hallway there, and then the ICF block is on the other side of the wood frame there. So we're going to use that as the kitchen pantry. So there'll be a whole bunch of shelves and stuff inside. You know, when you go inside here, there'll be a bunch of shelving and storage here. But again, it's a place that you can run to in that bad weather. So let's go back to the studio and I'll show you this in plan, and we'll have a little further discussion. Of course, Big Red will join us, but we'll see you back at the studio. Hey everybody, hopefully you enjoyed that trip out to Amarillo, Texas. It's always beautiful. Yeah, quite a neat little solution there for a storm shelter. You know, when you're building a slab on grade house, and you don't want to dig a hole for a basement or a shelter, you know, finding a place to shelter above grade, always a challenge. So, you know, taking over that pantry, which is already somewhat of a tight space, so we're not putting a huge expense into making it a shelter, but you have that safe haven to go to and hide out in until the storm passes. So anyways, broke out plan, section, detail here. We'll take a look at this a little more in depth. Of course, you know who joins us. Big Red, always here for the discussion. So let's have at it. Alrighty, everybody. So here's a partial floor plan. The house continues a little bit more off in that corner, but I wanted to give you a sense of orientation on where that pantry is. I don't know if you remember, a couple weeks ago, I did a project tour of this, so we talked about the whole plan layout and stuff. So if you want, go back, check out that video. You get a good understanding of how the house is laid out. But basically we have what I call the main hall here, which is the kitchen, dining, family room. We have the owner's suite and associated spaces over there, and then we have the kids' bedrooms down that wing. So, you know, looking for that storm shelter, the pantry actually turned out to be a very likely candidate, in that it isn't a very large size, but it's large enough that, you know, you can fit the whole family in there. You can see we did the ICF block core in there, and then we basically wrapped wood framing around it. And we have we'll actually have a door inside here, and then we have the decorative barn door. But it gives you the ability to go in there and have a little bit of safety while Mother Nature is doing her thing around the outside of the house. So how did we actually construct that? Well, pulled the detail out of the drawing set, and to give you a little sense of orientation, this is the concrete slab here, and then we have the stone base there, and then basically the ground underneath here. So what we needed to do was we did our ICF blocks. You can see them there. And ICF stands for insulated concrete forms. You could have done this with a, concrete masonry unit, cinder block kind of type stuff. We just chose to do ICF. That's what the mason had recommended, so we moved in that direction. You can see it has a bunch of insulation there, but it has this concrete core. And so the challenge structurally is how do we add this wall, which is going to provide shear value in the racking of that wall, but how do we attach it to the concrete slab? So you can see here we have a piece of reinforcing steel. These were pretty frequent. So they go up probably about 32 inches in height. They have a leg here that's about 12 inches. And these are 12 inches on center. So we get that concrete wall, which is basically the core of the ICF here, gets attached to the concrete slab here, and that reinforcing that's every 12 inches on center is then providing that connection, which in turn provides the racking strength of the system. And I mean, concrete by its nature, when you pour it as a wall, has some shear value to it in overturning and trying to push it over, but it needs that connection to maintain that overturning and connecting it to the larger slab network there. And then it comes, how did we hide it, right? So typically we have a small space there, anywhere from a 1/2 inch to 1 inch here. And then we basically just did a 2x4 wall on the inside of the pantry. There's our baseboard. You can see this is our 2 layers of Advantech flooring on top of our insulation here. I did that video last week, so if you want to go check out how we insulated the floor there, it's a pretty slick detail. But you can go check it out, and it talks all about this floor assembly here. On the flip side, pretty much the same thing. We have the space, but we did a 2x6 wall on that side. We had the allotted room for it, but there's a few things happening up above. We have a bunch of cabinetry, we have some plumbing, we have some ventilation, electrical, and just hanging the cabinets. So we moved to a 2x6 wall here, give us that 5.5 inch, give us a little stiffer, taller, straighter wall. They culled through the 2x6s and made sure that we got some nice and straight ones, so that when we attach the cabinetry, the kitchen's looking really good. And you can see that that ICF block is now inside this wall. So basically we have stud wall here, we have ICF wall in the middle, and then we have stud wall again here. So I know when we were walking through the site visit there, it's clearly identified. You see the white blocks, all that good stuff. But once we get that drywalled, it's just going to disappear into this thick wall. The only places you're going to recognize it is through the door threshold and at the window threshold. You'll see the thickness of that wall appear there. Notice on the front here, we also did that 2 layers of Huber's Advantech over the rigid insulation there. So we have that floating floor there that's fully thermally broken. Like I said, video last week, go check it out. But Not a whole lot of rocket science in here, just very simple structural detail. We had it vetted with our structural engineer, and he gave us the spacing and gave us the number 5 size of the bars. So that's it. That's how we created a storm shelter out of the pantry. So hopefully you enjoyed it. All right. Big Red said enough. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you're looking for more information, you can find me at Steve Basic Architect on Instagram, posting stuff daily. My daughter also, Alexandra Basic, she's always posting stuff on Instagram too. And we're trying to share a bunch of information and help the industry understand things a little bit better every day. So go check us out. You can also find me on the Unbuild It podcast, where I team up with good friends Jake Bruton and Peter Yost, and we talk about all kinds of different building concepts, building science, business, construction business, building investigations, all kinds of great stuff. Wealth of knowledge with the three of us around the table, and it's always a good time. You can find us on YouTube there for the Unbuild It show, or you can find the Unbuild It podcast through all the typical podcast channels. iTunes, Spotify, etc. So go check it out. Lastly, Build Show Network. I used to say we had a lot of videos, but now we're going to have a whole lot of videos, as this month we're adding 4 new contributors that I'm very excited about. Drywall Shorty came online last week. Great video. And I think we have Mechanical Hub coming on this week. And then, of course, we have the originals, Wade, Jake, Brent, and of course Matt. I have over a year's worth of videos there now, so these libraries are getting big. Everybody's always asking me, hey, where can I get information? Where can I get information? Build Show Network. You got literally hundreds of videos for free. All kinds of information, stuff all of us are doing today. This isn't old stuff, history, stuff that's not usable. These are solutions, questions that we're asking yesterday on projects. So go check them out. Remember the science. You got to watch every video at least 7 times before you can actually grasp the concept. I don't make this stuff up. I just go by what the science is telling me. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this. We learned a little bit more about storm sheltering, and until next time, long live our buildings.